Hello once again and welcome back to my shop. This week I spent quite a bit of time on the Intarsia project, fixing a few of the pieces that needed to be corrected and getting the project ready for finish. I've also finally selected my finish. I'm going to go with a shellac, a clear shellac. I will need to do a test before I apply it to the project to make sure it doesn't yellow the snow or the lighter wood that is going to be the snow. I also got the background stained and have it ready for everything to be glued to once the finish is applied. I'm really happy with the progress, and I hope during the week to be able to put some time in on finishing and get this project ready for assembly. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy what you see. If you do, please consider subscribing and liking, and as always, any comments are welcome. Thank you. I'm going to start working on this piece right here. You'll notice that there's a gap there. It's darn near 1/4 of an inch wide, and I received that gap as I was cutting this branch of the tree. I had a little trouble with my scroll saw. You might remember in one of the earlier vlog entries, and this particular branch is not as thick as it should be, which caused this piece to be shorter than it should. I've gone back to my main pattern and I've cut out another piece. There it is right there. I've got it attached to this piece of aspen, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to try to lengthen this just a little bit, you know, a little more than what I think I'll need, because I can always take it down on the spindle sander. And I'm going to get to cutting this piece out and shaping it and see if we can't get a better match for the puzzle, or the Intarsia, sorry. Alright, there we have the new longer piece. Now here's the old piece. I can lay it right on top, and it's a nice fit. I mean, it's not bad. It's just a little bit longer. What you will notice is that this is 3/4 inch and this is quite a bit shorter. What I'm going to do is cut about 1/4 of an inch off the back of this piece to reduce the size, and then I'll start shaping. Alright, I've drawn the line that I need to cut. And you need to be real careful when you do this, because since the piece is changing in thickness from thin to thick, it'll have a tendency to grab and kind of kick up, and then you can mess your piece up. So you really want to get a good grip on it, hold it tight. You don't want to push side to side or put a lot of tension back on the blade. You just want to let the blade do its job, but you just want to hold firmly onto the piece so that you can cut a nice section off. There's the old piece, and there's the new piece. You can see there's a little bit of difference there, but that's not going to be hard. As I shape, that's going to come off on the sander. So let's get our tape off here, and let's head over to the sander and start shaping this piece. I went ahead and just kind of set the new piece in to see how it looked. It actually fits pretty good. It is a little too long, I can tell, because the snowman, see that gap there? That's because the snowman shoved off to the right. But I'll clean that up and take that down on the sander and be able to adjust him back to the left to where his bottom base fits over that hump of snow there. That's going to be a small issue to take care of, one I'm not worried about. And all is not lost. The piece that goes right here, the old piece, I've decided to finish this with shellac. And since this piece is already sanded the same as everything else on here, I want to make sure the shellac, it's a clear shellac, but I want to make sure it doesn't yellow my lighter wood, my snow-colored wood. So I'm going to use this piece, since it's prepped like everything else, to do a test on. So this piece is still a valuable piece, and we'll see how the shellac performs, and I'll keep you guys posted on that. I'm very happy with how the repair of the two pieces went. The new ones fit much better into the Intarsia. I'm at the point now where I have done everything I think I can do to make this look as natural as possible. I'm very happy with the overall appearance. So what I'm going to do is prepare to start putting the shellac on it. In preparing to finish this Intarsia, a couple of things came to mind, and one of those is this background is going to be stained a dark walnut to help make the pieces sort of pop, and wood glue will not stick well to a stained surface. So what I'm going to do is take a pencil and lightly up in the corner of each of the branches and around the snowman, some of the bigger areas, I'm going to make just a little hash. Might be a little hard to see, but I went ahead, I figured I'm going to be staining dark walnut, and I'll stain into the inside of these lines a tiny bit, so you'll never see these lines. So I went ahead and lightly traced. You can see I kind of shaded, I don't know how well you can see that, but I kind of shaded the areas like where the snowman will be, the Christmas tree, the snow along the bottom. They're larger areas so that I can solidly glue those pieces to the background. So I'm going to get the stain, and I'm going to stain I'll just barely get over that line with the stain as well as with the shellac, so that I can hide the line and be able to effectively glue my pieces. Here's a quick look at the background. The darker areas are the visible areas that the viewer will see. These light areas that I didn't put any stain on, those are the areas that I'm leaving the wood natural, because the tree and the snowman are going to glue into those areas. And I want to make sure that my tight bond is able to form a good grip with the background so nothing pops off. Next up, I'll put a little shellac over these. Same principle, I'll leave the light areas open and just shellac over the dark areas. I'm not sure how many coats, probably 3 to 4. And then the background will be done. And once the pieces are done, I'll go ahead and get all of it glued onto the board. I like to finish my pieces individually to make sure I get uniform coverage all around the piece. Here's how I go about setting up to finish my pieces. I got a scrap piece of wood. I drill a bunch of 3/16 inch holes in it, and I've got some 3/16 inch dowels that I cut to about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches in length. I'll take a piece, and on the back of that piece, I'll put a little ball of hot glue. And then I'll insert the dowel, give it a moment to dry, and then I can just stick it into one of the holes. Now what this allows me to do, when the hot glue is good and dry, I've got a nice little handle that I can use to hold on to the piece to make sure that I'm able to finish all the way around all the sides and the top and put a nice uniform coat on. Here's what my Intarsia projects usually look like when they're ready to be finished. I've got all of the pieces hot glued to these little bits of dowel rod, and basically I'll just pull them out of the piece of wood, and I'll use a tack cloth to tack them off, and then I'll apply the finish and stick them back into a hole in the piece of wood so that they can dry. Now, I did have one tiny issue, and that is the very last piece I glued up was the tree. And if you take a look at the tree, you might notice something about it. I forgot to texture it. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to texture the tree, and after I get it textured, then I'll start finishing the rest of the project. Earlier I said that I plan to use shellac. I picked some up a few minutes ago when I ran out to the big box store. This is what I'm going to use. 3-4 coats possibly, with a little bit of sanding in between. I need to read back through the instructions. I've never used it before, but a good friend of mine, Walter, gave me a rundown of exactly what to do, and I just need to check his instructions out, follow them, and I'll let you guys know exactly what I do.